What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video there is a lot to talk about. I'm sure you guys have been wondering where I've been, why I disappeared, why I'm making a video now. I'm gonna dive into all of that. We're gonna talk about basically why I took a substantial break from the game. We're going to talk about the new move updates, which is happening at Worlds right now. If you guys, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, but Worlds is happening this weekend. So I'll have links down in the description to those live streams in the event because it's absolutely phenomenal. Gets me excited about Pokemon Go every time I see it. And we'll talk about what I'm going to do from here on out in the future. So that's kind of the guide for this video. I'll put timestamps down below so you guys can jump around. But let's go ahead and dive right into it. So where have I been? That has been, if you guys follow me on Twitter, right, or X, you guys probably saw that I wanted to take a break from the game. I didn't put out a video just because I just wanted to step away. Now, the reasons why I wanted to step away, there's a lot of them, but to quickly summarize, basically, Pokemon Go, if you guys didn't know, I've been involved with PvP from the very beginning of January 2019. So that's coming up. It's already 4.5 years now. Going to be coming up on 5 next January. It's or 5. I can do math. It's been a long time, right? 20 seasons, which is going to be coming up for Go Battle League here soon because we're on season 19. That's accounting for all the preseason and all that jazz. But basically, over those years, I began to build a more toxic relationship myself with the game. And that is due to me wanting to showcase the best teams, best battles for you guys, right? So what I did is I set myself up a system in order to create a video to best represent strong teams for you guys to use. So in order for me to make a video about a team, I had to have positive sets with it. Typically 2 to 3 sets, all positive. So if it was 2 sets, I had to go 6 and 4 or 7 and 3 with that team. Or, you know, and if you did 3 sets with it or 4 sets with it, it extrapolates higher, right? What that did is that actually started to create a very toxic relationship because if I didn't do well with the team, I only have 5 sets in a day to be able to make a video, which is frustrating in itself. I do think that after 5 sets, I think we should be allowed to just keep playing, but no more rewards. But you can still grind ELO, right? I think that could be fun, not only from a creative perspective, but from people who just want to climb. They have a lot more time on Sunday than they do doing a bit during the week. But that's beside the point. The system that I set up for myself was toxic because basically if I didn't do well, whether that was maybe I just built the team wrong, maybe I made some bad decisions, maybe I had poorly moved time on the charge moves, which you guys point out, which I'm going to try to get better with. Or maybe there was game mechanics, right? The glitching, the freezing, the come in and the charge move's not ready to go, which you could have won the game because there's so many reasons, right? You guys know if I went negative, then I wouldn't show you guys that team because I feel like it didn't put in the work that I wanted it to. And so it over time, right, over years, this built up a very toxic relationship for me with the game. Now, that's just the actual battle point, right? But there's other reasons, like I really want to see Team 6 pick 3, which is what this tournament, the Worlds, and the whole series is all about. I want to see that come to the game. That doesn't mean replace Blind 3's GBL. I mean have it be a structure next to it, whether it's something you do, much like Trials in Destiny 2, where you, over the weekend, Friday to basically Monday, you can play Team 6 pick 3 format alongside GBL, but then the Team 6 goes away for the rest of the week. I want to see that come to the game because that's what the competitive scene is. We don't have the structure for pick 6, choose 3 in game. So what happens is at these tournaments, players have a piece of paper of what their opponent is using with the moveset so they can understand what to choose, where I think it should just be in the game itself. Like the structure of the competitive scene should be in game. Now, I'm still hopeful that they will do that in the future because it's very obvious that needs to be done, but I've been preaching this for years, right? For forever. And that's a frustrating point. I think some other things like just acknowledging, right, our accomplishments. So if you get Legend, you get the Pikachu Libre, right? You get the full costume and the pose, right, as you work your way up through the ranks. But something else I think would be great is getting a medal, right, that shows how many times you've reached Ace, how many times you've reached Veteran and Expert and Legend, the highest ELO, stuff like that. Just a little medals. Now that's not a big reason, or not a big factor in me taking a step away from the game, right? This is just something that I want to see for the game to be able to look back at, oh yeah, in 2022, I actually hit my highest ELO, which was, 3,500 at the time when, the highest rating during that age was like 3,700, That kind of thing I think can be good for the game. Among all the bug fixes and stuff, right? Being able to have the patches come through a bit quicker and whatnot. But the other thing is the move updates. And we are not, or I am not, maybe some of you are, having been through every single season, you'll notice that there is a cadence pattern to Niantic's move updates. And typically what they do is the move updates after Worlds is crazy, which we're going to get into in just a moment. And then as the season progresses, they get less and less aggressive and trying to shake things up and introduce new Pokemon, to the point where the final 2 seasons leading up to it, so the 6 months prior to Worlds, so basically January to now, kind of that time frame, right? Doesn't have a lot of action. And I think what that does is, from a player base perspective, it creates massive hype, right, at the start, and then it just dies down. And I think there can be a lot more done to kind of keep the train going a bit on a smoother level, instead of massive hype at the beginning and then kind of fall off. Now, I do understand from a competitive standpoint that for Worlds you want to have a somewhat stable meta. But I think move updates coming in, so Feraligatr was a great example. Feraligatr, when it got Shadow Claw, it instantly jumped up. It was competitive. It could put in some work, but it ultimately wasn't so dominant that it was number 1 on the competitive scene. But its introduction made waves, right, in GBL. So I think more targeted moves like that at the beginning of every single season, finding a specific Pokemon, maybe 2 or 3, that could kind of push up out of, the rank 300-400 on PvPoke rankings and make it rise into the top 100, is something that needs to be done more in order to keep things going. So that's basically why I took a break, was the relationship that I established for myself with the game, which I'm going to try to adjust for now. I'm going to try to just show you guys teams. If I had more losses than wins, so be it, but we can learn from those, and I think ultimately that'll create a healthier gameplay loop with myself and the game. That way I can bring you guys a lot of good content, have a lot of fun, and then hopefully in the future Niantic does introduce the fixes and changes to the game that I think it desperately needs, that I think a lot of the community can agree with, right? The Team 6 Pick 3, the more consistent move updates, the acknowledgements of our achievements, and a lot more that I'm not going to go into in this video. So that's covering where I've been, right, and what my thoughts about the whole game as a whole. So thanks for sticking around for that. How long was that? That was like 10 minutes. So now we're looking at the new updates, which happened at Worlds. So I think Caleb is introducing this along with Butters and Amanda and Will. So let's go ahead. This was at Worlds. Let me see if I can move my camera real quick. You can see they're down there talking about it. But what we have, oops, move this back a bit. No, I really messed this up. All right. So what we got here is the first big change is the switch timer has dropped from 60 seconds to 50 seconds. I think that's really positive for the game. I remember when they dropped it for, I believe it was a week, a long time ago, maybe a year or two ago. They dropped it for 30 seconds. And man, we were dancing. We were swapping in and out. I was having so much fun. I think what this does is it makes the game less stale. The longer your Pokemon is stuck into a matchup, the more rock, paper, scissors it becomes. So by dropping 60 to 50, I think we see a lot more wiggle room, especially in the neutral matchups. So let's say, for example, you safe swap a Drapion and they bring in maybe like a Whiscash, right? Well, Drapion has the ability with Poison Sting and Aqua Tail and Crunch to be able to spam charge moves, even though they're facing off against a Whiscash, which is a counter, right? Ground versus Poison with the Mud Shot and Mud Bomb. You can at least stall. Maybe you give up one shield on one Mud Bomb, you stall a bit, and then bail back out. I think there's going to be a lot of play to that with this new system update. I really like this. It says we're trying to reduce a switch timer and we'll reevaluate the change for next season and onward. I'm on board for 60 to 50, healthy for the game. Now, there was a metric ton of move updates we're going to try to go through. And mind you guys, this is going to go live on Tuesday, September 3rd. So just because you're seeing this now doesn't mean it's live in the game. September 3rd, 10 a.m., that's going to be the start of the new season. So we got Rock Slide. Rock Slide is getting nerfed. I think this is a direct target at Vigoroth. Vigoroth became meta. It was good. Like, we all knew it was good for the specialty cups and whatnot, but when it got access to Rock Slide, it instantly jumped into meta for Open Great League, which means it's competitive in the competitive scene. It's actually one of the top Pokemon used all season in looking at the top 12 strongest meta Pokemon throughout each tournament, because basically there's been a dynamic shift. When Medicham got nerfed so much, Poliwrath, Annihilape, and Vigoroth became top 3 fighters in the meta, and Rock Slide was because of that. So it's dropping its damage that it does from 75 to 65. How this is going to affect gameplay is it's going to really mix up some of those neutral matchups, right? So if a Rock Slide is hitting something like a Cresselia, for example, it's not going to hit as much. Now, Body Slam is still same type attack bonus, which might be obviously more optimal to use. Now, Rock Slide targeting something like a Talonflame or a Charizard is still likely going to one-shot, I would imagine, because of how strong it is. Maybe it doesn't, but if you account for some extra counter damage, I think it's going to be fine. This is probably just reining in Vigoroth's damage among other Pokemon that use Rock Slide, right? Wing Attack is getting an energy generation decrease. This thing, oh man. When Wing Attack got the update, right, and we saw Noctowl have access to Wing Attack, it became meta overnight, much like Gligar. So Wing Attack getting an energy nerf makes sense. We'll have to see how much that impacts it, because it doesn't say by how much, right? It just says energy generation decreased. So it could still be strong, right? Pokemon like Gligar could still be strong. They're just not going to be as dominant. But that's definitely a targeted nerf at Pokemon that use that. Counter as well, they're just hitting everything, literally. Counter, energy generation decreased. This is going to affect a lot of Pokemon. Counter forever has been in a stalemate as arguably the best fast move in the game. Yonkis has been preaching that it needs a nerf for quite some time, so maybe he's a bit happy with this one to see it have it rain down a bit. Because basically, in my opinion, if you look at the balance of damage to energy gain, Counter and Shadow Claw are like the best, right? If you're looking at the ability to do fast move pressure, so an Annihilape against a Lickitung, for example, while also gaining energy at a very quick pace. Whereas if you look at something like Mudshot or Psycho Cut, which is more high energy gain, but you're doing a lot less damage, that's more built around getting off multiple charge moves. So having Counter's damage or energy generation decreased is kind of reining it in on its balance of power, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Shadow Claw here. Mind you, I just took a quick glance at this very briefly, so I have not seen everything. I'm going to be surprised from here on out. These were the first ones that I saw, and I kept the rest as a surprise for me. Okay, moving on, Dig. Dig is getting a nerf. Dig got a big update with Gligar, which is why when Gligar got the Dig update and the Wing Attack, it instantly became top meta. And it was actually like, it was ridiculously dominant, right? Especially Shadow Gligar, because not only do you cover fighters and grass, among other things, but you also cover the tanks. You cover Bastiodon because you have Dig, and you cover Lantern pretty well if it's not water. I mean, you still cover it, right, with Dig, but it was a Swiss Army knife of the meta, and reining it in is going to be pretty interesting to see what happens. All right, Parabolic Charge. This is getting quite a bit. Damage increase, energy cost decrease, and a chance to increase the user's defense by 1 stage. That's a hefty change. Now, to be completely honest, at the time of Parabolic Charge really getting introduced to some Pokemon is kind of when I started stepping away from the game to take a break. So I'm excited to learn more about Parabolic Charge, what Pokemon they're on, what utility that could have. But ultimately, look at that, right? Damage increase, energy cost decrease, and a chance to increase user's defense. So that's going to have an impact in some way, shape, or form. All right. Oh, jeez, Body Slam. Goodbye, Vigoroth. Body Slam, damage decrease. So that's 60 to 50. So this is clearly a Lickitung Vigoroth angle of nerf, which is perfect because I just finished powering up my Lickitung this morning. As I was able to get the final candy, I walked that thing. All the kilometers for all the XL candy for it, right? I didn't pay for raids to get XL candy for Lickitung. I walked that thing. So we just got it powered up just in time for it to be nerfed. So rip me, but that's okay. Body Slam, it was very strong. It was actually an incredibly strong move. So it getting its damage decreased is going to be interesting to see how that affects the meta. I imagine people are going to shy away from using Vigoroth now because it got Counter, Rock Slide, and Body Slam all nerfed. So Vigoroth is probably not going to be as useful as it once was. But that's not to say that it wouldn't dominate Specialty Cups when that gets the chance, right? Okay. Moving in the next one, Swift. This is getting an energy cost decrease. This was put onto quite a few Pokemon. I believe it was 2 seasons ago or 1 season ago. Off the top of my head, Clefable got access to it. And I thought it could be very interesting if it becomes something like Body Slam, because Clefable does have access to Fairy Wind. I could be wrong about it having Swift because I remember I took a step away from the game for like a month and a half. Swift getting energy cost decrease, we'll have to see how that plays out. I hope that doesn't just replace Body Slam. If they nerf Body Slam, but then Swift is then the replacement, that kind of negates the point of it. But all right, let's move on. Mudshot. Oh, jeez. Mudshot, is getting increase in power, but a energy generation decrease. So it's getting a buff and a nerf. So it's completely shifting what Mudshot's category falls under, because typically Mudshot was the high energy gainer. So you pair that with Psycho Cut, Thunder Shock, Mudshot. They're all the same damage to energy, and now it's getting a buff and a nerf. So we'll have to see where that lands. So it's going to be better for tankier Pokemon to get the utility out of it. So something like a Whiscash. Mudshot's being able to do more damage against something like Bastiodon or the Drapion example that I said earlier, but you're not going to be getting as much energy. Okay. This is a lot. Future Sight. Oh, Cresselia. Future Sight, 120 to 110. Now, I think that's pretty reasonable. Future Sight has been a very, very strong move. It's been seen used a lot on the Cresselia, but granted, Cresselia users, myself included, have favored Moonblast over Future Sight because of the ability to cover those Dark-type Pokemon with super effective damage and also hit those dragons, like the Dragonite or the Shadow Dragonair, which have been pretty common. Future Sight, don't get me wrong, would still do great against them, but it's that Moonblast, especially for something like Mandibuzz. for example, which does resist both Future Sight and Grass Knot. The Moonblast was better, which is why I run that flat out. So it's getting a nerf there. Let's see what else we got. I have a feeling this list is going to be long. Fire Spin, please. Oh, cool. Okay, Fire Spin. More. I love this because the Alolan Marowak has Fire Spin. More damage. I'm not going to complain about that. Fire Spin as well is on quite a few Pokemon, so it'll be interesting to see what all these updates have in store for some Fire-type Pokemon or Pokemon that can use Fire Spin, but Alolan Marowak right out the gate getting a bit stronger, especially with the Rock Slide nerf. And yeah, let's see what else we got. Steel Wing, of course. Energy generation decreased. Okay, so Steel Wing got a nice makeover a few seasons back, and it instantly made Skarmory meta again, along with Empoleon. Empoleon with Steel Wing is incredibly strong, and the Skarmory as well made a big comeback, especially in Go Battle League. Not so much in the Play Pokemon Tournament series. I mean, we saw some here or there. But granted, the Gligar kind of stole the show along with some Altaria in there. But Steel Wing getting a nerf in terms of energy. So this is going to shake up the meta. Metal Claw energy generation increase. Now Metal Claw's on a lot of cool Pokemon. So we will have to see how this unfolds, how much energy generation that is, because that could make a lot of things maybe not meta, but more usable, which could be very cool. I'm thinking of something spicy like a Metang. I think has Metal Claw. It's a Steel Psychic, the pre-evolution of Metagross. That could be really interesting, along with a lot of other things. I think Ferrothorn has Metal Claw, if I remember correctly. I think Alolan Sandslash has Metal Claw. And this is all just going off the top of my head. There's going to be so many more. But that's a buff to Metal Claw. Excited to see how that shakes things up. Next, we have Trailblaze. Really? Energy cost decrease. Oh, a buff to Trailblaze. Okay, so that is interesting because Trailblaze is a pretty decent move, and the energy cost decrease is going to allow it to be more viable to run. So something like Ampharos having access to Trailblaze, something like Greedent, even though with the Body Slam nerf you could opt to run Crunch instead of Body Slam, and now the Trailblaze buff. This is gonna be interesting to see how that shakes out. Next, Zap Cannon, damage decrease. Oh, okay. Chance to lower the opposing Pokemon's attack is decreased again. Okay. So really trying to target the Registeel. I throw a Zap Cannon even though it's suboptimal in terms of damage because I'm just going to try to get the debuff on you. I'm curious to see if Scald's going to be in here as well then if they're going down this route. But that's purely a target against Registeel. Okay. Next we got Smackdown. No way. Bastiodon. Less damage. All right. Caleb might be a bit salty about that. So that's interesting that the Smackdown's getting nerfed. Razor Leaf. Okay. All right. Hear me out. I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Razor Leaf gets just flat damage nerf. If it gets more than that, maybe like a energy generation decrease as well. Or if it gets an ink. Oh, man, I don't even know what I want. I just want damage down. Okay. 10 to 9. Fine. Cool. Damage down. We got Astonish. It's like... the Astonish buffs might as well be like giving Claydol more moves. That's where we're at. Astonish has gone through... I think this is the third or fourth buff to it in terms of energy gain, damage increase... maybe Claydol can be great again, not that it has Astonish, but a lot of other Pokemon do. But it's just funny, Astonish has gotten so many buffs, but it's still never been used. So we'll see if this finally makes it through, as it's gonna go from 9 to 12. Fairy Wind is getting hit. Power increase. Okay, so if the Fairy Wind Swift combination, that means Clefable might be very strong. Coming into this season, which is fine for Alolan Marowak. We'll take that all day. Karate Chop. Energy generation increased. That is interesting. Karate Chop is... You never noticed it. Never talked about it. I personally... Used it in some spicy stuff like on a Machoke with Return. Karate Chop has always been outshined by Counter. And that's the tough thing, is when you have one type of move, that being Counter for fighting types, be so dominant, so good, nothing else can really shine. So with the nerf to Counter here, Karate Chop has an opportunity to potentially rise up. It's on a lot of unique Pokemon which do have good moves and good stats. So yeah, Karate Chop might be new meta. Alright, what else we got? Mud Slap. Increased in damage and energy generation increased. So that's going to be impactful, because Mud Slap has traditionally been on Pokemon who, like, let me think, Gastrodon has Mud Slap with Body Slam. It also has, oh, come on, it has Earth Power. Does it have Stone Edge? I don't think it has Stone Edge. But it has, it's on some Mud Boys, and it's on some other Pokemon that have an opportunity. I mean, even let's jump up to Master League, right? You got Rhyperior with Mud Slap that also has Rock Wrecker and Surf. So there's some interesting things to be had if this becomes good, if the energy generation is enough and the damage. All right, moving on. We have Poison Sting. Uh-oh. Just flat out increase in power. Same energy, but a flat out increase in power. Okay, well, that Drapion reference that I said earlier is going to be more prevalent this season. Poison Sting is on quite a few Pokemon that have very spammy moves, because it's, you know, the energy gain from this is already so good, and now you have the increase in damage to kind of counteract the fairies with the Swift and Fairy Wind buffs. That's an interesting play right there. How many more we got? Psywave. Is this even a move? Energy generation increase. All right, well, we haven't seen Psywave used like ever. Yeah, unless that just came out while I've been gone. I don't think it has. But it's getting an energy generation increase, so there we go. Next we have Rollout. Wow, that's a big increase in power. 5 to 8 is substantial. That is massive. Because what is it? Digger? No, not Diggersby. Oh, it's escaping me right now. I don't have any other things up. Oh, this is gonna bother. Dunsparce. There it is. Dunsparce, right? With Drill Run and Rock Slide. Well, actually, the Rock Slide nerf. But basically, Rollout is going to be increasing that. You also got Miltank as well that can take advantage of that. There are other Pokemon like the Alolan the Golem family, right? The Alolan Golem and whatnot. A massive increase in power, so watch out for that, especially with specialty cups, where some of those Pokemon can really shine. All right, next we're going to see Sucker Punch. I haven't seen that move in a long time. 5 to 8. That is a huge update. I don't know off the top of my head what Pokemon are going to be having access to that, because we've never seen Sucker Punch really used. But a massive increase in damage. We're going to see some Dark-type Pokemon kind of come up, which is going to be interesting. Hopefully, right? Hopefully it's not the Astonish thing. Sky Attack? Sky Attack getting a buff and a nerf. They're increasing its damage from 75 to 85. And the energy cost is getting increased once again. So Sky Attack previously got a nerf. I believe it was 45 energy, or 50 energy, got bumped up to 55. It was 45 at one point, I believe. But it got nerfed to the point where it's really tough to use, which is why you saw something like Noctowl drop down out of the meta, and why Pokemon like Gligar came up, because they had more spread coverage. Sky Attack, though, trying to make a comeback, but getting its energy cost increased once again. I'm guessing that goes to 60 now. That's going to be kind of tough. It's shifting away from being a low energy charge move and more into a medium range, right? So yeah, I don't know if people are going to be using that. That might just be a straight up subtle nerf to Altaria. But yeah. All right, next we have Surf. damage increase and energy cost increase. So that's going from 65 to 75. And then, so this is going to be directly affecting something like Lantern, which is very meta and very strong. And with the energy cost, all that is going to be good and bad for it. It's not going to be as spammy, but when it lands, it might do that extra damage that you need, right? So there's a real give and take there. So let's see what else we got. We got Bone Club. Finally! Bone Club getting, this is the season of Alolan Marowak. Well, they are in Hawaii after all. Aloha. 40 to 55. Woo, baby. All right, so we got a Fire Spin increase for Alolan Marowak in terms of damage. I believe it was 10 to 11, and now 40 to 55 on Bone Club. This is going to make me second guess running Fire Blast, which is what I love to use on my Alolan Marowak, right? Fire Spin, Shadow Bone, and Fire Blast because of how strong the Fire Blast is, especially as an anchor on a team in a no-shield kind of situation, even against things like Mandibuzz. So the Bone Club now, very viable. With 40 to 55, we'll have to see how that actually plays out. But I will take the 15 extra damage. That would be that'll be nice. Brutal Swing, getting an oh god, Ampharos. So Ampharos got Trailblaze buff, and now Brutal Swing. Actually, it's a nerf and a buff. It's going from 65 to 55. It's going down. I'm sorry, I thought that went up. And then energy cost decrease. And energy cost decrease is going to be nice, but I still think in terms of the volt switches needed, this would only affect it on maybe 2 times thrown, because it's still going to be 2 volt switches to get Brutal Swing. There's no way it's 1 volt switch to get 1 Brutal Swing. That would be just ridiculous. But yeah, Brutal Swing kind of buff and nerf. Nightshade getting a buff here. That's a buff right there. 60 to 80 energy cost decrease. Nightshade. Ooh. That, I mean, off the top of my head, like, there's going to be some ghosts coming out that you may not have been anticipating that Nightshade could play a role now with the coverage move. So we'll have to see how that plays out. We got Power Gem. This is, wow, okay. So, Shadow Sableye users, it's time for you to rejoice, right? Shadow Claw hasn't been touched yet. Foul Play hasn't been touched yet. And Power Gem is getting a buff. Now, I know typically, right, Sableye with Return, Purified with Return is meta. But the Shadow Sableye can be very dominant in situations when you're just not ready for it. And that buff to Power Gem is going to be felt. So Sableye just got buffed. All right, let's see what else we have. We have Shadow Punch getting just a straight damage buff. So that, oh man, Dusclops off the top of my head. In some of those neutral kind of matchups and specialty cups and whatnot, the Shadow Punch damage increase could be pretty nice. And I believe that is all. Now, I don't know what else is here. Oh, God, we got all the Pokemon getting the new moves. Oh, does that say Ledian? Don't tell me. Do not tell me that they just nerfed counter and gave Ledian counter. Give Ledian something else, right? Say, like, Ledian gets, like, close combat or something. Do not tell me Ledian gets counter. Oh, I got counter! Oh, man. Ledian, welcome to the meta. Kick you back down. Ledian was meta for all of 5 seconds on the screen at the Honolulu Worlds. Oh, my goodness. That's kind of funny. Ledian getting counter is very cool, by the way. That's a lot of XL candy, though, that you're going to need. Fortress is getting Volt Switch. That's pretty huge. Breloom getting Force Palm? What's Force Palm? Fast Attack Force Palm. Did I miss something while I was gone? Hariyama, Fast Attack. What is Force Palm? Okay. Mian Xiao, Force Palm. Okay, so I've been... Mind you guys, I've been gone. I took a a hard step away. Force Palm. I'll have to look it up after this. I'm sure you guys will let me know down in the comments. Excited to see what that is. Clefable getting Draining Kiss. Okay, Togekick getting Draining Kiss. I don't think that's affecting it at all. Draining Kiss. Tapu-Lele, Draining Kiss, Pangoro, Karate Chop. Now that would be interesting. It has Night Slash. Lickitung. Licky is getting Rollout. That is going to be interesting because Licky has a wide variety of charge moves that you could roll with, which is pretty cool. Spiritomb is getting Rock Tomb. Okay. Dusknoir getting Shadow Punch. Alright. That's a bit better. Galarian Slowbro is getting Brutal Swing. That's interesting. Tropius is getting Brutal Swing. Interesting. Tropius then would have coverage for Alolan Marowak. You literally would be able to break. So if we look at traditional teams, right? So like a Azumarill Double Ghost, Tropius then could core break that because of its typing and moveset. It could literally have like Air Slash, Leaf Blade, and Brutal Swing, right? That's interesting. Mienshao is going to get Brutal Swing. Oranguru is going to get Brutal Swing. Now that's a nice addition right there. Getting access to Brutal Swing with the buff and nerf that it got. Passimian getting Brutal Swing. So just a lot of Brutal Swings. Runerigus getting Brutal Swing. Oh man. Hisuian Typhlosion is getting Nightshade. Oh boy. Zorua is getting Nightshade. Zorak is getting Nightshade. Mind you, Nightshade got a huge buff. Hisuian Decidueye is getting Nightshade. And I think that's everything. So, that is a lot of stuff. You can see the smiles on their faces. If you look at Butters, knowing Butters, he loves Ampharos. Absolutely loves Ampharos. There was some Ampharos buffs there. I love the smiles on their faces. So, those are the move updates and what we see with the season. My thoughts overall, I think those are a lot of good changes. I always prefer moves getting buffed rather than moves getting nerfed, right? That's just, or Pokemon getting access to moves so that they can become meta. So a good example is Feraligatr getting Shadow Claw. It becomes a part of the meta. It is not like tip-top meta, but it's usable. It's fun. It's strong. It has potential. When you like nerf things, so like the Body Slam nerf, I don't know how impactful that will be, but instantly I'm just like, I just finished my Lickitung and now Body Slam's nerf. So there's like a negative correlation to that, right? And I know a lot of you are like, well, I've had Lickitung for 4 years. Yeah, I get it, but that's just my preference. In terms of what this does to the meta, it's going to shake things up. The whole pot is being stirred right now because of all the buffs and nerfs. So a lot of good things. Now, this wasn't the Niantic post. This was just the move updates from Worlds that they showcased for us. So I still want to see what comes from the Pokemon Go official blog post about everything for the season because I'm excited to see what they do. Again, my hope is one day we get Team 6 Pick 3 as a part of Go Battle League as a whole, not replacing Blind 3s, but a part of. It's something that you can do as well. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys understand why I took a break, because, you know, if you're feeling toxic about something, the best thing you can do is take a step away, gain some perspective. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and like always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.